Welcome to the Common Ground, the True Common Ground podcast, as if there could be true common ground. So today we're going to talk about the very supreme, and boy, do they love that supreme part. The Supreme Court, who has proven once again that they're really in this game for Donnie Bone Spur. Justice, not so much. Not too interested in justice right now. Mostly interested in keeping the rapist, the racist, the 91 felony count indicted criminal in office. And
what did the dissenting, what kind of insurrectionist did they call him? Oh, the oath-breaking insurrectionist.
Yes.
It's great that they really were in a bind. I'm sure they wanted to just say, this is crap, but they couldn't. I mean, it's a very complicated issue because of like they said, you can't have, randomly states include or not include themselves in the voting process because the state's decision to keep someone off the ballot is disenfranchising the voters of their state.
Exactly. Yep.
Everyone has to unanimously agree that they don't want this person on the ballot. You can't do it. But you do have to keep this kind of person off the ballot.
Well, you're absolutely right. You can't have a patchwork. You can't have one state saying, I don't want them in another state, because you are then disenfranchising all those who do, regardless of his conduct. And if we did that to him, 5 minutes later, Governor Abbott of Texas would probably kick Joe Biden off the ballot. So then there'd be chaos, and we can't have that. And I get that. But the Supreme Court's job is to interpret the Constitution. And the Constitution does say in 14, Section 3, it does say very plainly that an insurrectionist may not run for any office at all. And so, and it's self-initiating. You don't have to take it to trial. Now you do. Because they went further, than their judgment, and they said that Congress has to create a law, a structure, a legal structure to accomplish taking him off the ballot.
Can we all join in and pulling the light chain on and off? I don't think so.
Then you are dependent upon an ethical, just, patriotic Congress. And we don't have that right now. I don't know if anybody's been watching, but the Speaker of the House, and the House right now is controlled by Republicans, so the Speaker of the House is Republican. He has decided to ignore the President of the United States and follow the dictates of a citizen, not an officer of the country, not somebody that has leadership or has been elected to any position right now, who happens to have 91 indictment counts against him, a felon. He's decided whatever the felon says, I'm going to do what he says, and I'm going to ignore the President of the United States. So we have this chaos at the border because Donald Trump has said, no, don't pass it. The conflict is worth much more to me than the solution. If spies are listening right now and they know that we've left the border open this way, they're sure to come in. Maybe they'll blow up a city. Maybe they'll set off a bomb in New York or Chicago or something. That'll be great for us. Kill a lot of Americans, but that's okay as long as we take office. So that's what the Speaker, the third in line for the President, that's what he's decided to do. I'm going to ignore the President. I'm going to abdicate my responsibilities as Speaker of the House, and I'm going to do whatever this jackass named Donald Trump asks me to do. So when the Supreme Court says, well, we'll have to let the Congress create a law that enables Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to happen, it's an absurdity. The Congress right now is corrupt. It is, just like the Supreme Court is.
So if you were Joe Biden, what would you do?
I don't know. I don't know what he can do.
Would you pack the court?
That is a temporary solution, because if the Republicans come to power again, they can dismiss, and reduce the size of the court, or pack it even more, and it can become nonsense after a while. I would love it if he packed the court, but I don't think it would last long.
If this is the way it's going to go, why not? Where's the reason not to do it? I mean, it's nonsense now, and it would be nonsense then, but it would be our nonsense.
We're all calling this the John Roberts court. It's not the John Roberts court.
It's the freaking Trump court. It's unbelievable that this guy can worm and weasel his way into this. I don't believe, it's like, if I were a believer in space aliens, I would say someone else is in charge.
Yeah,
it's not Trump. He's too freaking stupid to engineer this. Someone else is in charge.
There's definitely, I would say that you could probably place a pretty big bet on Harlan Crow and people like him. They're in charge. They're the elite, the real elite. They're the ruling elite at the top, behind the curtain, that manipulate these useful idiots like Donald Trump. And I think there's definitely something much bigger going on.
But there is such a web, and it is over so long a period of time. Mitch McConnell's been doing this crap since when? 1970?
Yeah. Yeah, he's been doing it for a long time. He'll go down in history as probably one of the most consequential leaders in the Senate ever, in a very evil and dark way.
It sounds like it means good, but it really doesn't.
No, he's replaced many judges with hard right conservatives, young judges who will be around for many years. And by the way, if Donald Trump becomes president again, I think that Sam Alito,
a lot more.
Sam Alito and Thomas will probably step down, and he'll replace them with 28-year-old hard right conservatives that'll keep this country in its grip for the next 2 or 3 generations. So, if you ever worry, the most powerful thing a president does is pick Supreme Court justices. Nothing he does, including declaring war, is more powerful than that, because that changes the nature and the meaning of freedom and liberty, as we have now seen. Women do not have freedom the way men do anymore. They do not have liberty the way we do. The Republican MAGA party has decided to camp out in our bedrooms, and they are dictating to women how they will copulate, how they will, have children or not.
The handmaids will step in line.
Yeah, this is where we are.
Yeah. And so, back to my earlier question, why not pack the court?
I think it takes time, and I think that it will. I think it would create a kind of a riotous response. I'm still for it.
Well, too freaking bad.
I know, but I don't think it would.
It's like if we don't, they will.
But if we hand the Republicans something to scream and yell about for this last 10 months,
Who cares?
Don't you think that might help them in the election? I mean, this is the game we play.
That's a good point. I mean, there's all kinds of people in the country, and there's a lot of people, I think, who would be Democrats if the Democrats weren't so wimpy and limp and weak and unwilling to stand up. And they're always like, well, they're nice people. We should listen to them. Everyone doesn't always agree. It's just nauseating. I want to see the Democrats arrive at their job with bayonets.
You can't come to a gunfight with a fly swatter, and that's kind of what we've been doing for the last,
Absolutely.
bunch of years.
There are some good guys, but somehow they don't get elected, like Beto.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Yeah. Beto.
He's good.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of moxie, and that's the guy you need. You need someone who knows the rules as good as Mitch McConnell.
We do,
and has fangs like the most deadly cobra that ever lived.
Yeah, we need young, smart, firebrand kind of guys and gals. That's what we need.
Yeah.
You know,
well, that's who was around when this Constitution and this constitutional republic was founded. They weren't going in there and saying, "Oh, well, golly, I don't know, maybe you should have slaves. I guess if you really like them, you know, and if you're good to them, I guess it's okay."
Alexander Hamilton, anybody who's seen the show knows this, but he went for the jugular. You know, he wasn't in this thing that, you know, I think maybe I'll run. You know, no. He took out Aaron Burr like the garbage. You know, and finally Burr stopped him in a duel by killing him, you know, and that's the kind of leader, though, that gets things done. I totally agree. You know, people like Beto would be great.
All right. So let's say my idea stinks and we shouldn't pack the court because it's just a never ending game of, you know, who's on the top of the heap, you know, and which way we're going to bend this time. So what's our number two? Our number two really is our number one, which is the vote. We have the vote. I don't think there is, there are some very rigid, corporatist, right-wing, fascist voters who they love Trump. He's the perfect person. And this is just proof. This is just proof. We needed this all along. Now we have it. You know, as a percentage of voters, and we should say, qualify that and say, as a percentage of people who will be there to vote, who will go and vote, it's still a low percent. I mean, that's the long and the short of it. The whole point of the Constitution really is defining who's going to get to vote.
We outnumber the extremists on the right. And that's why they're doing what they're doing. That's why even now as we speak and behind closed doors, and nobody's talking about it yet because, you know, the legacy media is much more interested in Joe Biden's age than they are in what the criminals are doing behind the scenes.
You need to have someone around that looks like they're, you know, on your side, right? Because if it was all just Nazis, that would be kind of obvious, right? Yeah. I mean, you know, they break out the flags and the armbands. I mean,
you can make an argument for the fact that Donald Trump is the goose that lays their golden egg every day. I mean, you know, they're making millions of dollars off of this guy. But, you know, right now, DeSantis and people like him are purging voter rolls right now. They're gonna try to pull out all the stops. They're going to try to do everything they possibly can to try to balance the vote because they know they're in the minority. They know that. And so the only way for them to achieve a win is to do it illegally. And they're good with that. They like the illegal side of things. They hate democracy. Democracy has not been good for them. They want control. They want control. And they want control of people's lives, of people's happiness, of their pursuit, of their sexuality, of everything. They want control. And they would like to cast upon us their religion. Okay? If you're right now, if you're a Muslim or an agnostic or an atheist or a Jew, this is not your country right now. It belongs to a religious zealot called Mike Johnson and his people. And they see a Christian nationalism as being the country, and that's the country they want, and by God, that's the one they're gonna try to make happen. Let me ask you this. Why do you think the Supreme Court is doing what they're doing? Why do they seem to, this decision on whether a state can bump a federal candidate off the ballot, I get that. I understand it. But why did they go further and make it really hard now for that to happen and make it dependent upon whichever Congress is in power, Republican and Democrat? Number one. Why did they, when asked to speed through this judgment on whether he has presidential immunity, which is completely absurd, why did they, on December 11th, when Jack Smith first asked them to act on this, why did they push it down to the lower court, then push it to the Circuit Supreme Court, and then once they got a unanimous vote from both courts that he does not have immunity, did they wait another 3 weeks and then say, you know what, we're going to rule on this? Not until the end of April, but we'll rule on it then. And we won't even rule on it at the end of April. That's when we'll have arguments. We'll rule on it whenever we feel like after that. Why do you think they're doing this? What do you think is motivating them?
Because we're not them. I mean, we can't understand why anyone would want to even be at the same lunch counter as this guy. But they absolutely want him to have the deli and his own table and all the servers working for him. And that's what they want. And I don't know why. It's not going to go down in history well for them unless, history is written by the victors.
The winners. Yeah.
So if the history books, maybe there won't be any history books.
Yeah, right.
There'll just be stuff online.
I think that they want him to remain in power because he's their best bet. I think that if Biden wins, the down ballot will favor the Democratic side. We probably will get back the House of Representatives, probably. We may, and I hope, keep the Senate. And then what happens? Well, we have this guy, Justice Thomas, who has taken millions of dollars, not hundreds of thousands, millions over a 30-year period. He has not reported this money, which is against the law. Now, they may be able to say that, well, he can accept gifts because we're the Supreme Court and we can do any goddamn thing we want to do. But he can't take gifts like that without reporting them to the IRS. He can't. And that's what he's done. He's taken these gifts, enormous amounts of money from Harlan Crow and others, and he has not reported this income. Okay, that's against the law. Now, if we get an ethical, patriotic government, I think his days are numbered. I think we have to impeach this guy, and he can be impeached by the Congress. That was a check and balance. Okay, now this Congress right now, they're not going to impeach him. They're good with criminality. That's their kind of guy. They favor, that kind of misogynist, who puts women in their place and does what Trump does. But if Biden wins and the down ballot goes with him, I think Justice Thomas is in a lot of trouble. I think Sam Alito's in a lot of trouble. I think that Gorsuch is in a lot of trouble. Each one of them have very questionable incidents that occurred. Gorsuch, 2 months after he was brought up by the Federalist Society and made a Supreme Court justice, a nondescript lawyer from the Federalist Society says, oh, that piece of property that you've been trying to get rid of for the last 10 years, we'll buy that from you. What's your price? Okay. So that's Gorsuch's game that he played. Sam Alito's right in there with Justice Thomas.
These guys are rotten. They don't just suddenly get rotten. They've been rotten.
And so I think their bet is, hey, if Biden wins, our days might be numbered. We might be in trouble.
That makes sense.
And so
that makes sense.
That's why I think they want to keep Trump in there. And if that causes chaos and destroys, and creates war on the European continent because we abandoned Ukraine, I don't think they give a damn. I really don't.
It's better than me going to jail.
Think about this. We all know what Justice Thomas has done now. Everyone knows. Has anyone, at least Thomas himself or anyone else, apologized for that behavior? Have they said, we recognize this is inappropriate, improper, unethical? Anyone from the Supreme Court or the Republican side of the Congress, has anyone even said, yes, it shouldn't be this way? No. They're fine with it. They're like, hey, look, we're the Supreme Court. We can do any damn thing we want.
It may actually, go just as you say. It's odd that the only people on the court who are honest or seem honest and patriotic are the three women. On there.
Interestingly, Amy Coney Barrett actually joined the three women it was a challenging opinion which said, all we needed to rule on here was that states can't do this. You went beyond that and said, and if anybody wants to do this on a federal basis, we'll have to wait for the Congress to make a law.
Congress will have to pass a law.
Right.
Why?
To do it.
Freaking why?
Justice delayed is justice denied, and that's what these guys are about.
That's the way we like it.
Yeah. I think that they know that they have acted badly, poorly. They've done things that are certainly worthy of impeachment. We're talking millions of dollars from people for whom they heard cases and ruled favorably. Come on. Come on. You know.
So could you imagine a situation where the electorate wakes up, realizes that they have some power they need to express and bring to bear, puts Joe Biden back in because, I agree with you. We could use a more sprightly president, but still he's
the guy.
Yards and miles beyond the alternative. So Biden gets in, the down ballot flushes out like 2/3 of the Congress and replaces it with maybe not geniuses, but there are geniuses. Do you think that Congress, given what Democrats typically do when they're in power, which is not much, that they would actually unsheath their mighty swords and go after these guys?
I think it's time, and I think they know it. I think that if they don't take truly decisive action to prevent this madness from happening in the future, then it doesn't matter who wins, okay? Because this will be our last chance to preserve democracy and to keep this country healthy. They're going to have to make laws which prevent somebody who is indicted, prevent the Supreme Court from this outrageous abuse.
Do we really need more laws, or we just need to actually enforce the ones we have?
I don't think the ones we have are.
I think if you've got this rot running through all the offices that hold power, it doesn't matter what the law says.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But do you think? I mean,
but if there was a law that brought you to justice for that very attitude, for abdicating your responsibility, if there was a law that said, hey, you know what? If you're going to bring the president and his son to court and say that he got $5 million and his son got $5 million, and then we find out that the person that told you that is a Russian agent, and you continue to pursue this, we're going to sue you. We're going to remove you from power, and we're going to put you in jail. I mean,
impeach them.
Yeah, we can't go on like this. We can't. This tribal bullshit is, if we don't find common ground soon, there's not going to be a country left to save.
No, it's unfortunate, but we very well could be at that point, where we can't, we don't want to, we're busy, there's a good game on.
TV has never been this good. There's so much shit that you can watch right now, and it just
but I'm watching True
you.
Detective. It's really, really interesting.
I know, it's crazy. And if we don't step up right now, and this is it. I mean, the Supreme Court has said to us, we're not going to. This is an adjudicated insurrectionist, and we're not going to act on the 14th Amendment to remove him from the office. We're going to play this game, kick the can down to the lower house of Congress and everything. So we, the people, we have to remove him from office. We have to execute the 14th Amendment.
That's really what it is.
No more talk of courts, no more talk of the Supreme Court.
And the only thing that's really been holding any of this, the last bastion of patriotic defense of the Constitution, is the United States military.
Yeah, right.
And if they decide it isn't worth it, you can't even go to the Capitol and show them how many millions of freaking people are out in the front lawn with pitchforks, because they've got the best weapons in the world. They don't even have to show up. They can just do it from space.
The thing here is that what the Supreme Court just did basically says next January 6th or 7th or whatever the date turns out to be, you can do this again. It's okay. It's all right. It won't affect your ability to become president or anything else.
Right. Just don't leave.
Yeah, you can
leave.
Right. You can attack the Capitol and you can stay there. You can stay in the Capitol. That's the situation that we're in right now because of the Supreme Court's cowardice and because of their penchant for leaning in the direction of a criminal. And that's what they're doing. I don't give a damn what anybody says. They could have turned around this immunity thing in December. They didn't, and they didn't
Congress
for a reason.
Could have impeached him and convicted him.
So we have a corrupt Congress, and we have a corrupt judiciary. We got one thing left, and right now it's headed by a guy named Joe Biden. And if we don't hold on to that guy and that one thing, the executive branch, which includes the Department of Justice, this thing is over. It's over. Okay? And our children are going to suffer consequences we can't begin to imagine. If the European continent falls to Russia, there will be war. There will be war. And our children will be on those battlefields. Believe it, it's going to happen if that happens. Ukraine right now is fighting our battle, saving our children's lives. And the SOBs in the MAGA Congress are letting them die. They're walking away from them. They are the Putin wing of the Congress. And this is the only thing that we can do right now. The only thing is to make November 5th our Independence Day. Yeah.
The big flush.
Right.
You know, it's really something. I don't know if you recall this, but back in the early part of this century, the Koch brothers said, We've accomplished it. We're taking the gloves off now. You won't have to guess anymore. Mm-hmm. Yes, you're right. We did it, and you can't stop us.
Yeah.
And I was really said that.
Yeah. Well, when Citizens United, again, the Roberts Court, was decided, that's it. I remember saying to my wife that day, I said, well, that's the end of democracy right there. You know, and she, what do you mean? I said, They have just allowed unlimited amounts of money to come into our political system. A 504 allows people to donate money anonymously. That's what a 504 does. We don't even know if that money's coming from Russia. We don't know where it's coming from.
Doesn't matter. It's money. It's green. It's
Saudi Arabia, hey, listen, make sure that this renewable energy thing doesn't work because we got a lot of oil we'd like to sell. I mean, that's where we are.
Oh, man.
Yeah. No, it's, you lose it a slice at a time.
And that's why they're working for the space program as hard as they are, because this planet's done.
They've got to do something because we are going into very perilous territory right now.
I want to know, why is this happening while I'm alive?
Yeah. And then when I think of what my father did in the South Pacific and, during World War II and what all my uncles, my Uncle John, Tom, two Uncle Toms, and all of them were in World War II, fighting, risking their lives, watching their brothers and sisters get killed in this war. And yet, against insurmountable odds in the beginning, just saying, we were the 17th world power at the beginning of World War II. We were the first world power at the end. And that's because everyone in the country got into it, got behind it, saved nylons and rubber and metal and scrap metal and everything, did whatever they had to do to save the world. And then I think, what would they think at the way Trump's supporters behave now in support of a war criminal and walking away from one of our allies, cowering, surrendering. That's what we're doing right now. We're surrendering. It's terrible.
It really is. And the more you dig into it, and it doesn't take a ton of work to do, but the more you dig into it, the deeper and deeper it goes.
Yeah.
Because World War II was a great victory, and the United States was the factory for the world. There was nowhere else. The United States made everything. And that led to the military-industrial complex. Eisenhower said, you, the voter, need to get rid of this. Eisenhower. Kind of a noted patriot and go-to guy for the truth about the military.
I believe he played a pretty demonstrative role during the war too. Listen, I hate war, and I think any thinking person hates war. But there are times when you have to do something, and you'd much rather do it in a very controlled and smaller area than allow it to start expanding.
Good idea, Joe. What could you be talking about?
Yeah. Well, right now we got Vladimir
What do you
Putin.
have going on in Ukrainian?
You know, and what is Putin saying now? First of all, Putin never would have done what he did. He never would have invaded Ukraine the way he did if we had
Calculated.
if we were a
Calculated
formidable country and he didn't have this useful idiot bowing down to him every single chance that he gets.
If Trump had taken a second term, I'm sure he was
would be over
kind
by
of
now.
banking on that. He didn't know if it would or wouldn't happen, but
Yeah, Trump,
you know,
Trump says he can end this in 5 minutes, you know, after he becomes president. Of course he can. Of course he can. Here, Vlad.
just like he
worry.
ended COVID.
Yeah, we're cutting off all aid to Ukraine. We will not assist. We're going to pull out of NATO. Okay, so there's no North American Treaty Organization anymore. That's over. Okay, everything all right? Can I start building that tower in Moscow? Okay, because I'm just here to make money. Okay, I don't give a shit what happens to Americans or America. I'm here to make money.
I don't think it doesn't even get on his radar. Everything that he looks at it's a deal. If it's not, he doesn't even see it anymore.
He went to the judge, you know, for which he was adjudicated and owes $455 million. He goes, how about this? Wait, I got a good deal. How about I throw you $100 million? Okay, is that okay? Sound good? Just 20 cents on the dollar. Okay, you okay with that? Can we just walk away as friends? I'll just give you $100 million. You know, I mean, Jesus God Almighty, I don't know what people see in this guy. He's so repulsive, so sickening in so many ways.
They still say the same thing.
Yeah,
you know, he's a businessman. He's a straight shooter. He says what he means.
He's a failure.
Really,
a complete
are you
failure.
listening to what he says when he says what he means?
He doesn't.
Are you listening?
He said that he had $10 billion. Well, obviously he doesn't. He can't come up with $455 million. He doesn't have that. And even the buildings that he has, it's questionable whether there's enough equity in those buildings to pay this $455 million. He's a liar. He lied to you.
He could, the way I've heard it, he could sell all of them and he'd still be short because of what he really owns.
Entirely possible. And we're about to find out. We're about to find out because I'm sure
maybe,
sure they're going to start taking possession of these buildings. They have to do something.
Maybe. Well, this guy never pays. He never pays.
Yeah. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
There's always someone who's got his back. The greatest trick the devil ever played was convincing everyone he didn't exist. The devil wants a war. He wants a big war.
This is a perfect route to just exactly that.
It really is.
Because if we go to war on the European continent, you won't hear about, 5,000, people dying in the war over a period of 6 months. You'll hear about an aircraft carrier that was bombed and all 5,000 American soldiers going into the deep and dying in a moment. That's what will happen if we go to war. The casualties will be absolutely astronomical, and there will be misery and horror in this country for years to come. This is for real, folks. This is what's going to happen if we do not stop Putin right now. And if we continue to surrender, and if we continue to do this so that Donald Trump can make money, and that's all he's interested in, if you think that you can go and walk into Mar-a-Lago and have lunch tomorrow, give it a try. See what happens. Go on down there. Come on. All you MAGA supporters and everything, get the hell down to Florida and just go in and say, we'd like to have lunch here today, and then we'd like to take a tour of Mar-a-Lago and see how far you get. See if you get onto the property. See if that works. Anyway, look, it's up to us. If it is to be, it is up to me. It's up to us now. We have to do this. We have to accomplish justice. We have to find that common ground. We have to vote in numbers too big to rig and too real to steal like never before. Nobody stays home. This is it. And I say this especially to women who have already had their freedom and liberty taken away from them already. Okay? And you're just the first online because LGBTQ people and everyone else after that, we're all going to experience the same thing over time. Dictatorship does that to a country. That's the way it operates. That's the way it is. And to the big business guys and everything, you may think that you're betting on the right horse right now. Stay away from Windows, okay? Because it's not going to stay that way when you annoy the king, okay? And that's what this guy's going to end up being if he becomes president again. He's going to start using our military against our own people. This is a very, very dangerous moment in history, and we either react to it and see it for what it really is and do what we have to do in order to save this country, this democracy, and the world that depends on us, or we bear the consequences. We go down in history as the ones who failed and caused the chaos.
And really, I mean, it's super easy. Voting is like this tiniest, easiest thing a patriot could possibly do.
That's right.
It's not hard. You can do it. Come on. Remember this guy? The guy, I am not a crook. That guy? You need to vote.
That's
Go
it.
Vote. Go vote. Vote.
Amen. All right. Thank you, good Donald. Appreciate this. Appreciate today. Folks, you got to vote and get out and talk to your family and your friends. Don't waste time with the 30%, which are the 15% of the electorate that will vote for Donald Trump even if he kills somebody. That's a waste of time. Just deal with reasonable people. Reasonable people. Tell them the truth. Tell them to listen to what he's saying. Okay.
Going to be a dictator for one day. It's going to be a really long day, but it's going to be a new Trump day.
Yeah, right. Oh my God. All right. And with that,
peace, my brother.
Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next week. Thanks.
We all want to be safe. We all want to be warm. We all want to feel loved, know the comfort of home. Want our children to grow, learn to make their own sound. Seems to me we all walk on common ground. Common ground. Common ground. We all walk on common ground.
We all wanna be strong, fully free and alive. Take just enough chances, stand up tall and with pride. Yes, we all wanna play, have good friends all around. It seems to me we all walk on common ground. Common ground. Common ground. We all walk
on common ground. Some conversations aren't easy, and we wonder how we'll turn this mess around. But if we realize and seek to compromise, under one moon, lift our face to one sun, feel the wetness of rain, seek shelter, everyone. Yearn for rest when we're weary, seek solace when we're down. It seems to me we all walk on common ground.
Some conversations aren't easy,
and we wonder how we'll turn this mess around. But if we realize and seek to compromise, we can meet on common ground. Common ground. We all walk on common ground. Common ground. Common ground. We all walk. I know that we all walk 1 foot forward. We all walk on common ground.